Welcome to the Motivation Playground. Here, we explore the powerful ways to break free from limitations and live boldly. If you're ready to challenge yourself, push boundaries, and grow beyond your wildest imagination, hit subscribe and join a community of people hungry for motivation and unstoppable progress. Do one thing every day that scares you. This quote from Eleanor Roosevelt isn't just advice, it's a call to action. A challenge to confront your fears, embrace discomfort, and invite growth into your life. Why fear is a powerful teacher? Fear has always been a part of the human experience. It's a biological response meant to protect us from danger, but in today's world, most of the fears we face are psychological or emotional. Public speaking, the fear of failure, rejection, or even success. These are the modern monsters hiding under the bed. Yet, these fears aren't life-threatening. Instead, they are opportunities disguised as barriers. By doing something that scares you daily, you transform fear from an obstacle into a stepping stone. Think of fear as a doorway. Each time you do something that scares you, you open that door a little wider. On the other side of fear is your potential. The things you've always wanted to do but were too afraid to try. The person you know you can become but haven't yet become. When you embrace fear, you embrace growth. What happens when you face fear? Facing fears rewires your brain. It's like strength training, but for your courage. The more often you challenge yourself, the stronger your mental resilience becomes. It's about learning to embrace discomfort as a necessary ingredient for growth. Here's what happens when you make it a habit to do one thing every day that scares you. 1. You redefine your limits. Each time you do something that scares you, your comfort zone expands. Suddenly, what once felt impossible starts to seem achievable. When you confront your fears, you redefine the boundaries of what you're capable of. You begin to realize that the things you thought were beyond your reach are actually within your grasp. 2. You develop unshakable confidence. Confidence isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. The more you face your fears, the more confidence you build. This kind of confidence is earned. It's not something you get by staying in your comfort zone. It's something you build brick by brick every time you take a risk, speak your truth, or step into the unknown. 3. You learn resilience. Life will knock you down, but if you've trained yourself to face your fears, you've also trained yourself to get back up. When you do one thing every day that scares you, you learn how to recover from setbacks faster. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, and the more you stretch yourself, the more you realize that failure isn't the end, it's just part of the process. 4. You tap into your full potential. Most people live in a box they've created for themselves. The edges of the box are lined with excuses, fears, and doubts. When you do something that scares you daily, you start breaking down those walls. You tap into potential that you didn't even know you had because you're no longer hiding behind your fears. Instead, you're using them as fuel to push you further. Practical ways to face fear daily. Now, how do you incorporate this into your life? The key isn't about making huge, dramatic gestures. It's about small, consistent actions. Facing your fears doesn't mean diving into every terrifying situation all at once. It means finding daily opportunities to challenge yourself, and over time, those small actions accumulate into significant growth. 1. Start with small acts of courage. You don't have to start by climbing Mount Everest or quitting your job to start a new business. Begin with small acts of courage that nudge you out of your comfort zone. If public speaking terrifies you, start by speaking up in a meeting. If you fear rejection, send an email or make a phone call that you've been avoiding. The point is to do something that makes you uncomfortable, no matter how small. 2. Take calculated risks. Fear can often paralyze us into inaction, but when you break it down, fear often loses its power. Take calculated risks. Things that you've weighed and considered but never acted upon because fear held you back. For example, if you've always wanted to travel solo but felt scared, start with a weekend trip to a nearby city. You'll realize that the worst-case scenarios you imagined rarely ever come to pass. 3. Say yes more often. How many times have you turned down opportunities because they felt scary or outside your comfort zone? Start saying yes to the things that challenge you, even if you feel unprepared. Growth happens when you step into the unknown and learn along the way. 4. Reflect on the experience at the end of each day. Take a moment to reflect on what you did that scared you. How did it make you feel? What did you learn? Fear is a teacher, and each experience holds valuable lessons. Journaling your fears and victories can be a powerful way to track your progress and see how far you've come. The long-term benefits of living fearlessly. Incorporating fear-facing habits into your daily life can lead to long-term, life-altering benefits. When you consistently challenge yourself, you'll notice 1. Greater emotional freedom. Fear is a form of self-imposed limitation. When you make a habit of facing your fears, you experience emotional liberation. You stop being held hostage by what could go wrong and instead focus on what could go right. You learn to let go of the need for certainty, which is incredibly freeing. 2. More meaningful relationships. Fear often keeps us from forming deep connections with others. We're afraid of vulnerability, afraid of being rejected, or afraid of not being enough. When you begin to face those fears, you open yourself up to more authentic and fulfilling relationships. You learn to embrace vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness. 3. A deeper sense of purpose. The more you face your fears, the more aligned you become with your true purpose. You start doing things that genuinely matter to you, not because they're easy or safe, but because they're meaningful. Facing fear forces you to get clear on your values, passions, and what you want out of life. 4. Success beyond your wildest dreams. Success is often on the other side of fear. The people who achieve great things in life aren't the ones who were never afraid. They're the ones who felt the fear and did it anyway. Every time you face your fear, you're moving one step closer to the life you've always dreamed of. Final thoughts. Eleanor Roosevelt's words, "Do one thing every day that scares you," are more than just a quote. They are a way of life. This isn't about living recklessly, it's about living courageously. It's about taking risks, facing discomfort, and refusing to let fear dictate your choices. So, what scares you? What's the one thing you've been avoiding because it feels too big, too hard, or too scary? The best time to start is now. Step into the fear. Take that risk. Push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of. Your future self will thank you. And don't forget, if you want to keep growing and finding new ways to challenge yourself, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more empowering content here at the Motivation Playground.